Welcome in and thanks for joining us for the WHHI Daily News, where we strive to bring you more Lowcountry news more often. I'm Bob Stevens. Fripp Island might have been first this year, but Hilton Head Island now has its first sea turtle nests of the season that began back on the 1st of May. Hilton Head Sea Turtle Patrol reports nearly a half dozen, well actually now a half dozen nests have been laid over the past few days, with nearly twice the number of false crawls where turtles have begun their journey ashore but turned back, possibly distracted by lights or holes on the beach. You are asked to cover up those holes when you leave the beaches and turn out those lights on the beachfront after dark. Now a little political news from the state, the federal, and the local level. We told you last week at the end of the state legislative session what did not get through and what is now just awaiting the governor's signature. There is, though, still some legislation that's being negotiated and might get passed when the state's reps and senators get back together in June. Conference committees are still working on an energy bill that will be a blueprint for the next decade of energy supplies for the state versus the cost to ratepayers, a judicial selection bill that works around lawyers who are also legislators, child care legislation debating how much more training caregivers will need, new definitions for sex trafficking that could include exploitation and prostitution of a minor, and, oh yeah, the state budget. You might have read over the last few days that Nikki Haley was finally gathering with her biggest donors and supporters over this past weekend, and after receiving about 20% of the vote in the Indiana primary against former President Trump last week, 2 months after she dropped out of the presidential race. There was talk of reconciliation with the Trump camp, maybe even consideration for a vice presidential spot on the Trump ticket to consolidate Republican support nationwide. Well, that thought was shot down quickly by former President Trump over the weekend with a social media post that simply said, quote, "Nikki Haley is not under consideration for the VP slot, but I wish her well," end quote. He even signed it, DJT. So that's that. While the Beaufort County Council interviews the finalists to become the new day-to-day administrator for the county, the current deputy to interim administrator John Robinson, Denise Christmas, has now resigned after less than a year, but with more than a simple "thanks, I'm gone" message. According to the Island Packet, Christmas's resignation letter also offered up suggestions on improving how the county operates. She says the county needs to find day-to-day leadership with more government experience, not just in the commercial world, especially in the offices of county attorney, county administrator, and maybe a chief financial officer. And Lowcountry tennis legend Stan Smith doesn't just have his own shoe, he's now got his own movie. A documentary showing off Smith's extraordinary career with cameos from all sorts of sports and pop culture icons debuts Tuesday night at the Park Plaza Cinemas on Hilton Head. Who is Stan Smith? Charts not just his tennis and home life here on Hilton Head Island, but how he became an unsuspecting fashionista, all from his adopted Lowcountry home. For more details on these stories and other Lowcountry news, we invite you to list the sources listed on your screen. Visit those sources, please. Maria Soden has the weather after a weird week of putting off summer. Yeah, can we put it off another week?
Thanks, Bob. Yep, so taking a look ahead, it does look like we have a couple more days of showers and thunderstorms, but then it should be clearing up by midweek. So taking a look at Tuesday, it's be scattered showers and thunderstorms throughout the day and going into the evening. We're probably going to have flash flood warnings, so if you're going to be on the road, do be careful. Taking a look at the temperatures, Hilton has a high of 77, a low of 68, and then Bluffton and Beaufort are going to have a high of 77 and a low of 67. The sunrise for Tuesday is going to be at 6:25 and sunset's going to be at 8:13. Taking a look at the tides, low tide's going to be at 10:18 a.m. and high tide's going to be at 2:54 p.m. Taking a look into the rest of the week, Wednesday is to be sunny to partly cloudy with highs in the 80s, lows in the 70s. Then come Thursday, it's going to be partly cloudy with highs in the 80s, lows in the 60s. And then come Friday, it's going to be cloudy throughout the day, and then we are going to see scattered showers and thunderstorms in the evening. Highs will be in the 80s, lows in the 60s. That's it for today. Let's head it back to the desk.
Up next, some state championships involved with Lowcountry schools, girls soccer particularly. Justin Jarrett will have an update on that. We'll also talk about summer offerings from the Island Rec Center. And yes, we're going to go partying again at Mayfest in Bluffton. Stay with us.